Hello everyone, welcome to WilliamTopsTV. My name is Emily and today we will enter the fascinating world of lakes, where nature has gifted us with some of the most impressive and mysterious landscapes we have ever seen. Have you ever wondered what secrets are hidden in the depths of the lakes? Today we present you a top 10 of the strangest and most surprising things found in these bodies of water. Get ready to discover fascinating stories that will leave you speechless. But before continuing, we ask you to support us with a big like, subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any video. Let's get started. Number 10. It is a tragic event that occurred in a lake in the state of Florida, United States. In July 2022, a large alligator was sighted with a knife stuck in its head. Authorities received photographs of the animal, in which you could see the alligator swimming in the water. Quickly, the photographs went viral, and the Wildlife Conservation Commission took action. However, the injuries were so severe that the alligator had to be euthanized. Intentionally injuring or killing an alligator in the state of Florida is considered a felony of the third degree, so the person responsible could face up to 5 years in prison. Thanks to animal protection laws, the alligator population has grown in the area, going from being almost extinct to having a population of 1.3 million. However, alligator attacks on humans are very rare in this area. Number 9, we found something very rare and strange. A statue of Jesus Christ submerged at the bottom of Lake Michigan, in the population of Petoskey, United States. The marble statue is life-size and represents Jesus Christ on the cross, with a weight of almost a ton and a length of 3 meters and 35 centimeters. However, this submerged figure has a tragic story behind it. According to national media, the sculpture was created in Italy by the relatives of a Michigan resident under the age of 15 who died in an accident in 1956. The family was notified that the crucifix had been damaged on the long journey from Italy to Michigan, so they decided not to accept it. Instead, they sold it to a scuba diving club that placed it at the bottom of Lake Michigan in honor of a recently deceased mate. Nowadays, the statue is a sacred relic for both divers and religious tourists who come to the area to see it with their own eyes. The statue is submerged 6 meters underwater and has been there for decades, becoming a unique tourist attraction in the region. Number 8. During a routine test on the water quality in a lake located in South Carolina, United States, a group of park rangers found a monstrous goldfish weighing almost 10 pounds in late 2020. What's weird about this? There are no goldfish in the lake, let alone one of that size. The fish appeared while the crew was testing the water using electric fishing, a method that sends gentle shock waves through the water. The shock waves do not harm the fish. Instead, they force them to float to the surface so that workers can measure the health of fish stocks. It is possible that someone has thrown away your pet, a small goldfish, to this lake because he possibly wanted to get rid of it, and it definitely ended up turning into a monstrous big goldfish. However, there is a scientific explanation for what happened. Is that this fish grows according to the size of the place where it lives. The bigger the space, the bigger it will grow. This also explains why little fish look so small and helpless in fish tanks. That you would never imagine that they can become a beast of almost 10 pounds that eats everything in its path. Number 7. In July 2020, in a lake in the Russian Arctic north of Siberia, some Russian scientists found amazingly well-preserved, huge, complete skeleton of an adult woolly mammoth who roamed the earth more than 10,000 years ago. The mammoth was in an almost perfect state of preservation. Even some bones still had remains of meat and skin attached, as if he had died only a couple of days ago. Scientists immediately began to study it, since they had been very astonished at what they had discovered. After doing the respective laboratory studies, they realized that it was a mammoth that had died more than 10,000 years ago, and that its remains had been buried by snow, generating a freezing process and preserving it impeccably. It is definitely not common to find remains of a mammoth from many years ago in such perfect condition, let alone find a complete skeleton. One of the reasons why such a great discovery has occurred is due to the unfortunate and accelerated global warming, and in which this region of the planet does not escape from it, generating the melting of large ice sheets that, in their wake, they expose entities or objects that have remained hidden for thousands and millions of years. Number 6. In England, curiously are found in the depths of Westwater Lake several units of garden gnomes. This lake, besides being the deepest in the entire country, almost 80 meters deep, it is also the place where dozens of garden gnomes live. Apparently, this is a very rare but fun tradition of divers from all over the world that has been going on for a long time. Divers often leave these gnomes at the bottom of Westwater Lake, just for the fun of it. Some of them have commented that they practice this tradition to adorn the bottom of the lake as a way to see something interesting while diving. However, others have said that they place them there as a kind of flag to define how far the authority in charge of protecting the lake has gone. They have tried to remove some of these gnomes to prevent inexperienced divers from having accidents in their attempts to locate them. But despite this, many continue to add more pieces of these cute little garden gnomes. Number 5. In March of the year 2021, a couple of divers in charge of keeping the bottom of Harrison Lake clean in British Columbia, Canada, they found an iPhone phone. But really, the most surprising thing of all is that it was still working. The couple of divers decided to clean it and charge its battery. Getting an impressive surprise, the phone was still on. Then, when reviewing the data, they were able to access their phone book to be able to contact their owner. She related that she had lost it during a boat ride on the lake, and that she definitely did not try to get it back, because she thought the phone was already damaged, and it never crossed her mind that 6 months later, the phone would still work, let alone that some strangers contacted her to return it to her. Doing a little research, Apple on its website ensures that iPhone 11 models have an IP68 rating that allows them to dive to a depth 2 meters for a maximum time of 30 minutes. Have you realized how strange the matter is? This iPhone 11 had lasted 6 months underwater, and even stranger, tens of meters deep. Before I go ahead and keep showing you some very weird stuff, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Number 4. In Russia, there is a small lake located south of the Ural Mountains, Karachay Lake. This lake was used as a dumping ground for radioactive waste generated by the Mayak nuclear power plant in 1951. Little by little, the lake was filling with toxic material, and the problem began to be evident from the 60s, when the water levels began to drop considerably. At that time, a lot of radioactive dust was exposed, which through the action of the wind, it spread death and disease for miles around. Because of this, Lake Karachay went from being a totally normal lake like any other, to the most polluted and dangerous lake on the planet. At present, it is no longer used as a deposit of any type of waste, but the catastrophic damage had already been done, and no matter how much time passed, radiation will not decrease. It is important to note how dangerous and catastrophic this issue is, since if you approach the lake and spend an hour sitting on its shores, you could be exposed to a radioactive dose 200,000 times higher than the levels considered normal, and which would definitely kill you. Number 3. Jason statue at Crosby Lake, located in Minnesota, USA. In the depth of its waters, a terrifying life-size statue of Jason is found, the famous character from the horror saga, Friday the 13th. Imagine diving into the calm waters of a picturesque lake and coming face to face with the notorious killer of Tuesday the 13th. Definitely not the plot of a horror movie, but a true fact thanks to the ingenious mischief devised by a person and inhabitant of Minnesota. The person responsible for this fact is the artist and diver Curtis, who had the brilliant and terrifying idea of impersonating a scene from the saga Friday the 13th, where Jason, the protagonist and famous character, ended up tied with a chain at the bottom of a lake, and he was trapped with no chance of escape. It is precisely this scene that the diver Curtis Larson it occurred to him to replicate, to make a tribute to the popular movie, and he has deposited at the bottom of Lake Crosby a life-size chain statue of Jason with its corresponding hockey mask and machete, and he's been there ever since, waiting to give the unsuspecting divers of Crosby Lake a heart attack. Number 2. North of Tanzania, in Africa, specifically in an area called the Rift Valley, one of the most mysterious sites in the entire continent is located. Lake Natron, or Petrified Lake of Tanzania, as it is commonly known. At first glance, it may seem harmless, but it's actually a lake in which any unfortunate animal that enters it becomes petrified, or rather, turns to stone. It is one of the most desolate and inhospitable places on our planet. Due to its extreme conditions, it can petrify all kinds of birds and land animals that come into contact with its waters. The reason for this is the chemical composition of the water in this lake, which has high concentrations of sodium carbonate and salt, and this can mummify any creature that falls into it. Only 3 living beings are capable of enduring the conditions of this place: the reddish algae that usually give the lake that red hue, some fish of the tilapia family that have managed to adapt through evolution, and the flamingos that eat the algae using their beaks as filters. Number 1. At the end of 2011, a group of Turkish researchers discovered the ruins of a wonderful and huge ancient castle. This castle is surrounded by mysteries and legends. That a fortress has appeared in the depths of the lake is no coincidence. There were rumors that its deep waters hid some mystery, although they did not know that it was something as magnificent as a castle. According to researchers, this fortress was built almost 3,000 years ago by the Van Kingdom during the 8th and 7th centuries BC. When the castle was built, obviously the lake did not exist. With the passage of time, the water began to cover it and it remained at the bottom of its depths. Now, Lake Van and its surroundings have become quite a tourist attraction. These wonderful underwater ruins are expected to attract the interest of thousands of tourists due to their great historical and unique value. Hi and welcome to the WilliamTopsTV community. I'm your host today, and we will explore together the 10 strangest things found by deep-sea divers. From ancient artifacts to sunken ships, each of these underwater wonders shows us a small part of human history and marine life. Number 10. Underwater Museum of Art. In Cancun, Mexico, there is an underwater sculpture park known as the Underwater Museum of Art. This is the first and largest underwater museum in the world, with over 500 submerged sculptures at almost 10 meters deep. The pieces are made of marine concrete, which promotes the development of marine flora and fauna. This museum is unique because visitors can dive into the Caribbean water to see the sculptures. You can do it on glass-bottom boats, snorkeling, or scuba diving. It is an impressive sight and a unique experience. In addition, by visiting this museum, you are supporting the conservation of the marine environment, as the sculptures provide a habitat for marine life and help keep tourists away from nearby natural reefs, protecting them from damage. Number 9. F-4U Corsair Wreck. During World War II, the F-4U Corsair was one of the most successful and feared planes on the battlefield. However, on one occasion, one of these American fighters ran out of fuel and crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Despite the impact, the plane remained in good condition, and the pilots managed to survive the accident. This warplane is currently located 70 meters deep off the coast of Vanuatu Island in the South Pacific. The site is known as Million Dollar Point due to the large amount of military equipment and other goods abandoned by the Americans after World War II. The preservation of the F-4U Corsair at the bottom of the sea is due to the lack of pollution and the low oxygen pressure at those depths. Treasure hunters and amateur divers are drawn to this piece of history, but it is strictly prohibited to remove any part of the plane. In fact, the site is protected by the Vanuatu government as a cultural heritage site. Number 8. City of Heraklion. Heraklion was an important port city in ancient Egypt, located in the Nile Delta near the current city of Alexandria. It was the center of international trade and tax collection during its peak in the 12th century before Christ. However, at some point in the 8th century before Christ, the city sank into the sea due to a combination of earthquakes and the rising sea level. For centuries, Heraklion remained a submerged city in the sea, until in 2000, archaeologist Frank Gaudio discovered its ruins in the Bay of Abukir, about 30 meters deep. The discovery was exciting, as remains of the city, including 5-meter-high statues, sarcophagi, coins, and ships, were found intact underwater for more than 1,200 years. The archaeological find has revealed valuable information about life in ancient Egypt and has helped historians better understand the importance of the city in ancient Egyptian civilization. Number 7. Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is an ancient mechanical device dating back to the 2nd century before Christ. It was found in a shipwreck on the Greek island of Antikythera in 1901. It is considered one of the most astonishing objects of antiquity, as it is an analog computer capable of predicting astronomical positions and eclipses. The device is a set of more than 30 gears that form a complex system, suggesting that the technology used to build it was very advanced for its time. Scientists have been able to reconstruct its operation through X-ray studies and have discovered that it is an accurate astronomical calendar that shows the position of planets and phases of the moon. In addition to the Antikythera mechanism, the shipwreck also contained bronze and marble statues, pottery, jewelry, and ancient coins. The discovery of this astronomical device has changed the way ancient Greek science and technology is perceived. Number 6. Satellite. The USNS General Hoyt S. Vandenberg was a U.S. Navy ship used for decades as a communications and military vessel. After it was decommissioned, it was sunk off the coast of Key West, Florida, to become an artificial reef. What makes this reef unique is that the ship had huge satellite antennas installed on its deck, giving it an unusual and fascinating appearance underwater. The Vandenberg is now a popular destination for divers, who can explore the decks and antennas of the ship while observing the marine life that has grown around it. This strange underwater structure is an impressive example of how nature can take over abandoned human creations. Number 5. Ms. Zenobia. The MS Zenobia is a very interesting wreck for divers and maritime history enthusiasts. This ship was a ferry that transported goods and vehicles across the Mediterranean Sea. In 1980, while sailing off the coast of Cyprus, the ship began to tilt dangerously, which led the crew to abandon the ship and resulted in its subsequent sinking. The most surprising thing about this wreck is that at the time of sinking, the ship was full of trucks and other objects, which are now lying at the bottom of the sea. Because of this, the wreck has become an underwater museum that allows divers to recreate a terrestrial scene underwater, where they can see trucks and other vehicles trapped inside. It is undoubtedly a fascinating and mysterious place that has captured the attention of many people over the years. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. We also invite you to activate the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Thank you for being here. Number 4. M42 Tank. The M42 tank is an anti-aircraft combat vehicle that was used by the Jordanian army. However, instead of scrapping it after its use, it was intentionally sunk to create an artificial reef and promote the growth of marine life in the area. The transformation of this military artifact's use into an effort to preserve the environment is notable and represents a trend in the growing awareness of ocean conservation. Now, this tank can be visited at the bottom of the sea near Jordan, making it a popular destination for divers and snorkelers who want to experience the thrill of seeing a sunken combat vehicle up close and the beauty of the marine life that has grown on its structure. Number 3. USS Oriskany. The USS Oriskany was one of the most iconic aircraft carriers of the United States Navy. Known for its numerous victories and for serving in the Vietnam War, this vessel was finally retired from service in 1976. After years of being anchored and unused, it was decided to sink it in 2006 in the Gulf of Mexico to create an artificial reef and promote marine life in the area. The sinking process was quite an event in itself, with thousands of spectators coming to witness it. After several controlled explosions, the USS Oriskany sank to a depth of 64 meters, becoming one of the largest artificial reefs in the world. Since then, the USS Oriskany has become an attractive destination for divers who want to explore its imposing structure and the abundance of marine life that has developed around it. Number 2. River under the sea. The discovery of the river under the sea is fascinating and unique in its kind. It is a saltwater river that flows through a freshwater pocket. What's most surprising is that it has a perfectly defined shape, with vegetation and trees growing underwater. This phenomenon is due to the chemical composition of the area, which creates an ideal environment for the formation of the river under the sea. The area where this river is located has become a place of interest for divers and scientists who want to study the phenomenon in detail. The presence of a river under the water is a rarity in itself, but the fact that it has such a defined shape and thriving vegetation makes it even more impressive. In addition, this discovery has generated great interest in the scientific community, as it can provide valuable information about how underground rivers form and the geological processes that occur beneath the sea. Number 1. Fake skeletons. The discovery of two fake skeletons in the Colorado River was a very curious event and has caused a sensation in the diving community. Although at first glance it seemed like a scene out of a horror movie, it turned out to be an elaborate prank that had been placed there to surprise divers. Although it is unknown who was responsible for this prank, it is known that placing unusual objects on the seafloor is common among divers, who often try to create artifacts to decorate and enhance the appearance of artificial reefs. However, the placement of the fake skeletons in the Colorado River was a very particular case that became one of the most famous in the history of recreational diving. And thus, we conclude this fascinating tour of the 10 strangest things found by deep-sea divers. We hope you have enjoyed this journey and learned something new. Always remember to respect and care for the environment, including the sea and its hidden treasures. Thank you for joining us until here.
But where is the love?
WilliamTopsTV subscribers, we remind you that we love you very much.